All right, my friends, welcome to the next episode here, the Red Delta Project Podcast. This is a bonus episode here with my friend Dan Vinson of wildgym.com, and I'm really excited to have him on for today because I've been getting a lot of questions on rucking. It's getting a lot more popular. It seems to have a lot of potential, but admittedly, I'm a little limited in my experience and knowledge of it. But Dan here is the expert, and he's going to fill us in on what we need to know if you want to make rucking a part of your wild journey. So, Dan, welcome to the Red Delta Project Podcast.
Thanks for having me. We've known each other now for it's almost been a decade.
Yeah.
Because I've been in Colorado it'll be 10 years now, actually. It just was 10 years. Happy 10-year anniversary, Colorado. Yeah. But we've known each other kind of since the OG Monkey Bars. So it's been a mainly digital relationship, but we get together every once in a while. So thanks for having me.
Well, thank you. Thank you for coming on out here. We got a snowy, wintry day here, so I know the trek was a little bit of an adventure just getting out here to Denver, but appreciate you coming out. And we're talking rucking, so we're all on the same page. What exactly is rucking here for you, and what are we looking at?
So how I define it, and I think how most people define rucking, is it's walking or hiking with a weighted backpack. And I think the weighted backpack is important, that you can ruck with weight vests, things of that nature, but I think rucking in its purest form the focus is on the backpack, and there's reasons for that being postural, kind of pulling your shoulders back, the breathing part of it. It's not to say you can't ruck with a weight vest, but I think when people, and myself, when I refer to rucking, I like to refer to it using a backpack specifically. So that's, in my background as a wilderness ranger, as a wildland firefighter, and I was kind of rucking before I even knew the term rucking, because rucking really comes from the military. It has the first kind of historical notes of it are kind of in the Roman times, but I'm sure way before that, for sure, people were rucking. But it definitely has a military emphasis now, or at least that's where its roots are. But my background is more wildland firefighting, wilderness rangering, and kind of incorporating it over the years in just different forms of training. So we just launched a ruck backpack on Kickstarter. It's sitting right here. It's kind of a blend of trail running and hunting backpack is how I kind of designed it, so we can talk about that later. But I'm super excited, and it's been something I've been doing again for years, and it's kind of been a foundation to my fitness without me even really recognizing it until the last, I'd say, 3 to 5 years. So, yeah.
And I'm really excited about this because I grew up in Vermont. We've got the trails there, Mount Mansfield, Camel's Hump and stuff. And, a lot of times when we think of exercise, we make it really complicated. Like, you've got all these different exercises, all these different approaches. But for my money, in my experience over the years, has been one of the best things you can do is literally just get outside and just truck it. Just hike, walk, jog, run, whatever. Locomotion, going from point A to point B outside, is one of the best things you can do for mind, body, and soul. And I've always tried to champion that idea, and now this is just taking it to another level entirely. Is that correct?
Yeah. I think to me, it's a mindset and it's an intention behind it. Because, you go out for a walk, get your heart rate up a little bit. It's like walking for sure is a good thing, and if that's where you're at, awesome. I think what I notice when I intentionally ruck, I'm more in that workout mindset. And I can't remember where it was, man. You might know this, but I want to say it was like a Japanese saying or something where it was the intention and your kind of mental state when you're exercising specifically, that had a profound effect on the outcome. So I think for me, in the rucking element, it's like, I'm not just going for a stroll. I'm rucking, I'm working out. And just kind of anecdotally, I've trained for ultra marathons, rucking my daughter around the neighborhood. So I'm pushing the stroller with the weight on my back, or, going to get groceries, loading up the pack, doing that. So it's something that also you don't have to break up your day to do it. You can kind of integrate it seamlessly, if that makes sense. So, yeah.
And that's one of the things that I kind of like the idea of this, because I've been getting a lot of questions about rucking and stuff. And my initial take on it is dude, just go up a mountain. Just go hike somewhere, because that's also going to make just walking outside a lot harder. But, as I think about it, it's the Rocky Mountains are there, but that is a trek to get to. I have to really plan out a good chunk of time in order to get to the Rockies, to hike up, plan my route. I got the right clothes and everything. The idea with rucking, though, I feel it's almost a little bit more suburban or urban hiking, because you just throw on the pack and you just go out and you can make any area around you a decent hike versus just a casual stroll.
Yeah, I think it's turn any walk into a workout. Like I think that's the easiest way. That's our tagline for the Kickstarter. Great marketing. But no, yeah, it's certainly there's very you don't have to be in the wild, and I always take that for granted. Like the last time we ran into each other, I think was out on the trail by my house. So I'm very fortunate that I pretty much ruck exclusively on trails because I live in Colorado and there's ample trails right out the back door. But you could ruck up and down the stairs in your office building. That would be legit.
Yeah, there you go.
That would be, and even there's a very much creative element to it. But I think there are some nuances that I always like to highlight. One is one difference I mainly see between like hiking and rucking or backpacking and rucking is how you're carrying the load. So having that axial load, so on the shoulders versus the hips, and we do have a hip belt on our ruck, and most rucks will have hip belts, but they're kind of there to break up maybe longer rucks or more for stability versus like, if you're using your backpack, that's to really put the load on your hips if you're hiking all day, every day for multiple days. So the idea with rucking is really loading the entire skeleton. And one inspiration for this really is my mom has osteoporosis. So she's 71 and soon to be 72. But having something where she's not going to go do back squats in the gym, but if she can load her skeleton in this way, and we're doing a challenge right now. We have a private Facebook group where we're doing a rucking challenge. We've got people all shapes and sizes, ages from all over the world really, and there's particularly a lot of women that are rucking to just build up their bone density, And there's also, if you compare rucking to walking, rucking to running, the last stat I checked, and I don't know if you've looked at this at all, but regular runners, it's like over 50% have injuries per year. So it's a lot. And I'm a runner. Yeah. I love running, but I kind of play around with like a run-ruck training regimen where I'll kind of alternate days, or maybe I'll ruck a few days depending on what I'm training for specifically or the time of year. But I think it's a way of, if you don't like running, if you've been injured running, it's a way for you to get outside and get all the like free. I was just thinking about this. Like I was trying to craft a tweet. I'm not a great tweeter. But I was trying to craft a tweet about how just going outside gives you all these things you get for free. Vitamin D, red light, like the red light therapy.
It's very therapeutic. Be outside. In Japanese, they have this term called like forest bathing or outdoor bathing, where it's like being outdoors has such restorative effects to mind and body and stuff. And this is just another opportunity to be able to get out and do that. And no, you don't need to ruck, but boy, if you can level it up and get a little more intensity, you're just soaking up more of the experience.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I'll go out. I usually go out every morning with my friendly Beast, which is a dog. He's an Australian Shepherd. We'll do like 1 to 2 miles, and it's just such a great way. I get the sunlight, I get my circadian rhythm. I kind of like settle my mind, and then I just feel so much better throughout. And I notice I sleep better too.
Oh yeah.
I've really been trying to be intentional about getting out within like the first 30 minutes, even up to 60 minutes of sunrise. And that's been such a huge just benefit to sleep. So it's like, forget sleep pills, forget all the stuff. It's like, just go outside, man.
Yeah.
So like, but.
Have you read that book? I think the title is Switch.
I haven't.
Yeah, I haven't read it either, but I've heard a lot of people talk about it. Apparently, the theory behind it is that once we invented the electric light, that just kind of set everything off kilter a little bit, because even before we had electric lights, we didn't spend that much time awake at night because candles were expensive. They were kind of a pain to use. Right. So sun goes down, we're out. Sun comes up, we're up and running, and we've got that circadian rhythm going. But now we've got artificial light 24/7 if we wanted it. So our whole rhythm and it's kind of just messing us up a little bit. But one of the ways they recommend in the book of resetting yourself is you don't have to get rid of your lights and stuff. You just got to be outdoors more. You got to be in sunlight a lot more. And this is just another opportunity to do that.
Totally. Yeah. We have a customer, Chris, shout out. He set up like a standing desk outside, or an outdoor office.
Oh, wow.
Actually, which it seems like such an obvious idea, right? But, it's going right now. So the practicality of that for us is not practical right now. Yeah. But, if you're in a warmer climate or pretty much anywhere in the States in the summer, fall, even late springs, like, it's just, I find it, I haven't fully distilled the thought, but I find the fact that going outside is like profound advice now.
Yeah, I know, right?
There's something wrong with that, right?
Totally, totally. I was listening to a different podcast last year, and they were talking about this weird concept called free range parenting.
Oh, sure, yeah.
You know, and I'm listening to it going, isn't that just letting your kids go outside and play? Because that's how I grew up. My mom was always like, go outside, play in the rivers and the mountains, just get outside and do your thing. And now that's like a concept, and there's like blogs about it, and people are, how do I do this? It's like, you just go out and play, man. How is this a thing? But yeah, even as adults, because you don't outgrow the need to be outside. Right. To be active, to be in the sunlight and get the heart rate up and stuff. That's a very fundamental primal need we have as human beings. And the Wild Gym company as a whole is all about that. And I really always appreciated that message, because even now it's like, I got to get working out. Into the gym I go, sure. Right? Inside I stay. And it's like, okay, that's great, fine. But outdoors is where we're going to get so much more. And I think we're losing that as we become even more like civilized, and everything's inside. We're cocooning into our indoor lifestyle so much. And the more we can branch out outdoors in a playful way too, because I know a lot of people are gonna like, okay, so how do I ruck? Sure. Like how many sets and reps? Like you go outside, that's it, kind of thing. But nonetheless, like this is something like running, like walking, that a lot of people, I'm sure, are like, great, I'll just go do it. But there are a few things we should know to do it safely and effectively. What kind of tips would you have for those who are kind of wanting to explore this?
Yeah, no, I definitely wanted to touch on that. I think it's like any form of exercise, right? If you're new to it, ramp up slowly. If you try and load this thing up, or whatever pack you have with 100 pounds, your likelihood of injury is going to go way up. So my suggestion is 2 to 3 times a week, 20 to 30 minutes, 10 to 20% of your body weight. If you want like a weight, start with 20 pounds. Very simple. If you're a bigger person, you go a little heavier. If you're a smaller person, go a little lighter, but ease into it. I kind of would approach it actually as a similar approach as I would like running, right? So if you haven't ran for a while or ever, you're not going to go try and run like a half marathon. You're going to run a mile or a half mile or go around the block. So it's something you can kind of titrate up. You shouldn't be excessively sore from rucking. And that's one thing I wanted to mention as well. When I was a ranger and firefighter, you know, I was essentially rucking all day, every day. And then I would still work out on top of that in my all natural wild gym.
Yeah.
And that always struck me, that you could do something that was, you know, quite physically taxing, but then you'd still have the energy to do even more physically taxing things, like more specific training.
Yeah.
That always just struck me. So I don't have like hard data or hard science for this, but just my N=1 anecdotal experience has been this kind of baseline level of walking / hiking, rucking, whatever you want to call it. That's really been a foundation that I've built on top of since I was like 21.
Yeah.
So yeah, but again, in summary, I think if you start with 2 to 3 times a week, 20 to 30 minutes a day, 10 to 20% of your body weight. If you want a hard number to start weight-wise, start at 20 pounds.
Yep. And don't underestimate, folks, that 20 pounds. I've gone on like hiking trips with even 10 pounds of stuff in a backpack. And it's amazing what even 10 pounds will do, because you're not talking about 5 to 10 repetitions on a pull-up bar. You're talking thousands of reps, AKA steps. And that stuff builds up really quickly when you've got that many steps and time, especially working out on this stuff, sort of thing. Now, as far as frequency goes, this is something you could conceivably do like 5, 6, 7 times a week, right?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I think, again, it's like any form of exercise. Like if you're going to up the frequency, intensity might have to come down a little bit.
Sure.
Right? And it's just, again, it shouldn't feel like you just did like Tabata squat or something where you're just like
wrecked,
critically sore.
Yeah.
You know, it should be like, yeah, I feel it. And talked about the axial loading on the shoulders. Like you'll probably feel it actually most in your traps. Like that's where most people are gonna feel it. But what I like is, especially when I wear this particular design, is my shoulders. I get that nice opening up. You know what I mean? Whereas I unfortunately do this way often than I'd love to now. But I'm pounding keys all day, man.
Sure.
You know, so you start to roll over, but you put on the pack, you're up.
It just locks you back.
You're just
in
locked
place.
back. So yeah, I think it's and it's something that, to me, it's kind of, I would say rucking's like, it's a foundation. You're in that kind of zone 1, zone 2 cardio that you can build anything on top of, whether you want to focus on strength, calisthenics, kettlebells, whatever you're into. If you have rucking as your kind of cardiovascular base and you're getting outside, then you're good to go. And one thing I've actually experimented with, which I'm curious to your thoughts on, is I call it loaded motion. So I'll during a ruck, I'll take the pack off, and I'll like farmer carry it on one side. I'll do like presses while I'm walking.
Okay,
I'll do curls. And this is all while I'm walking.
Yeah, and you've got some really beefy, heavy-duty handles
Oh, yeah.
on that pack, too. So you could certainly use that as a weighted implement.
Yeah.
And it's not going to be too awkward and cumbersome to be like pressing over or had a shifting like backpack with plates in it or anything. That would be purpose-built for that.
Yeah, it's like, again, I think it's that variety and just mixing things up, but it's fun. You know, you get the weight off your shoulders a little bit. You know, if we were doing it out here, I'm sure people would make comments, but you know, they just want to be doing it.
Yeah, but it's not too like over the top. Like I've gone out for walks and stuff with a weight vest on.
Sure. Oh, yeah.
And I get a few looks like, okay, you know, weird fitness freak coming through. But with something like your pack, I mean, you're just another guy walking around with a backpack on.
Yeah, no, it's a very sleek design.
Yeah.
If we can see here. I mean, it's not this loud, outlandish thing. It's very, again, it's kind of got a trail running shoulder suspension system, and then it's a sleek profile. So it's not gonna, it looks like a normal pack.
Yeah. And that's one of the things I appreciate it too. Because you're getting outside, but you're around people too.
Yeah.
And there are certain environments. It's weird how, like, I'll work out with a weight vest in a gym all day long, but boy, you go out on a basic hiking trail or something where people are with their kids and you feel a little self-conscious about wearing a regular weight vest or something. And mine, you know, has the weight plates on it, so it's not subtle. And it does kind of look a little strange. And out here in Colorado, it's a little bit more accepted because we're like that out here.
Sure.
But having something more subtle like that definitely is the way to go, I think. And that'll accommodate other things. Like I could put a jacket in there. I can put some granola bars and stuff. So it will work with a day hike kind of thing. It's not like I'll need to figure out where am I going to put an overlayer if it gets chilly or anything.
Yeah. Can we open it up?
Yeah, go ahead.
All
Sure,
right.
okay.
So Matt just referred to, so there's an outer pocket here, and I actually have a jacket stuffed in here right now. So this pocket, my jacket's in there right now, but this goes all the way down, so there's quite a bit of room there. And then this is the fun part. So if we open up the main compartment here, so this, and this is plugged in, but this is where all the weight goes. So right now I have there's a cargo net feature, so you can essentially you could be out in the wild, grab a rock, and this will just strap right in there. So this cargo net feature. And then there's straps here, I'll stand up. There's straps here, so you can clip in. And in our video, we show like logs. I think it's like 8 gallons of water or something like that. Like those big, like the office
big
cooler
water jugs, yeah.
That'll fit right in. Your groceries will fit right in. And then even, so this, sorry to pick up, but this is, so a 30-pound cast iron plate. That'll just slip right in there. So that's right on your back. So the carry potential is quite large. But I like the creativity of it.
Yeah.
You know? Because like when I was rucking my daughter when she was in the kid carrier, she'd want to get out. I'd set her down, put a rock to replace where she was. So I'd still get that load. You know, 'cause we're not going far at all. But it was a way to like still experience the outdoors, still be active, but like I don't have to go 10 miles.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that was definitely one inspiration. I don't know if you have a lot of dads in your audience, but I definitely have used rucking as a dad to like maintain a base level of fitness. So and then one more thing is you can it's hard to see probably in the video, but there's an internal aluminum frame that goes all the way around. If I move this. So there's an internal aluminum frame that goes all around. It creates a shelf on the bottom, so that's where you can rest like a groceries, whatever. And then if I were to take my jacket out of here, this is gonna roll up. This strap's underneath, so it keeps everything nice and tidy, neat and clean. And then there is, I didn't bring it with me, but there's a removable hip belt. So again, the point of rucking is not to be comfortable. This is meant to make it a better experience, but it's not, it's like any exercise. If you're doing it at intensity, it's not necessarily comfortable the whole time, but this is more comfortable than like the JanSport you referenced.
Backpack, throwing a plate into
exactly.
it. Yeah.
It just collapses. So this is going to carry much better, but it's not, the point is being comfortable, being comfortable. But the suspension system or the shoulder straps are built more like a trail running, which I just find it's easier to get. I have my phone, I can have water, I don't have to take the pack on and off to access all those things. So just those little details I think make your ruck experience that much better.
I've especially as I'm getting older now, the purpose-built equipment for the sake of the job at hand is so valuable, because can you do it with something else? Absolutely. I've done it with a weight vest before. It works, you can do it, but there's nothing that beats purpose-built equipment. Like when I first ever went mountain biking in the woods, I was riding my father's like hybrid street cycle. And my friends were like, "Isn't this great? Isn't this wonderful?" I was like, "Yeah, it's okay. I guess it's a workout. It's fun." But then later on that year, I rented an actual mountain bike. And I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is great. This is so much more fun." And because of, like you said, comfortable being uncomfortable, when the equipment is no longer your limiting factor, it's so much easier to pour your energy and effort into the activity at hand. But the more the equipment is not built for the activity, the more you're dealing with shifting load and pinch points and pressure points, and you can do it, but you're not going to be able to push as much as you can into the actual job at hand. So this is being built to get the most out of rucking, as opposed to just doing rucking for its own sake and hoping it's going to be okay in the end.
Totally. Yeah, I don't have these here. They're actually, I'm going to Vietnam to visit the factory to finish. This is our only second prototype. So as a part of that visit, we'll have like a self-fill bag. So if you could imagine, you go to Home Depot, you can buy a 50-pound bag of sand, right? So it'll essentially like a sheath for that, or whatever you want, really. You can put and then strap right in. So you don't have to have a cast iron plate if that's just not your thing.
Cool.
There's a hydro fill. There's all kinds of ways to add weight. And from the get-go, and we've even talked about this for years, but we've always had DIYs. The real impetus of Wild Gym is getting outside. So anyway, any pack will work. Will this work better? Probably. But any pack will work to get you out rugging. So I would never discourage anyone from just doing it. You don't need anything. Just you have a backpack, go do it. And then upgrade as you build that mastery.
Yeah. See, I'm looking at this too as the ultimate way to have a travel workout.
Sure, yeah.
Because I can use that for my clothes and my toiletries and stuff when I'm going away for the weekend, take all that stuff out, then I can load in like the Hydro Pack or something, and then I can go ruck wherever I'm at, and then deflate that, pour out the water, put my stuff in there, and travel back home.
Ruck your carry-on, man.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's awesome.
Yeah, no, it's this capacity, I need to get it, like, that'll be a part of this trip actually to Vietnam, but it's going to be in like the 25 to 30 liters. So it's for sure like extended weekend.
It's a good size.
Yeah. Ample room.
That's fantastic. It's definitely sized well for carry-on too. It's not going to be like so big that you couldn't put in the overhead bin or anything like that.
I've tested it.
And that stuff is strong too. You were telling me about the material.
So this material we actually used for, we used this for a sandbag called the Neon Buffalo. So the outer material is kind of gray melange. It's a blend of ultra high molecular weight polyethylene, which some brand names for that are like Spectra, Dyneema. It's super strong. It's stronger than steel. It's a blend of that plus nylon. So the tear strength on this is just ridiculous. You're never going to load it with that much weight, but if you decide to, or you drop it in the dirt or on rocks, it's going to be totally fine. So it's definitely, from a durability standpoint, it's not this is not a fashion piece. It's a durability piece for sure.
Very cool.
And there's actually, I forgot about this, but there's a clip-on attachment here where you can clip like a bike helmet. It was actually designed for Monkey 360, which is the rotational trainer, the ball with the resistance.
Oh, yeah,
band.
yeah.
So that'll strap right on. And then one other feature we'll have as well is there'll be kind of two like cup holders here. So you can slide in a water bottle, or we have a product called the Mass Core, which is essentially like a cylindrical weight. So those will be able to slide in there as well. So it's fun, man.
I'm excited about it.
It's a cool. It's fun. It's designing a backpack was an interesting exercise, to say the least. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. The factory's awesome, and I just think like we're Wild Gym. We've been, we were Monkey Bars, we were Monkey, we were. I think those are the only two previous names, but Wild Gym's always been like the core of it.
Sure.
And I think we always kind of fell short of like, you know, like Monkey Bars, for example. It was go run up a mountain, do pull-ups off a tree. That's rad.
Yeah.
We'll go do that. I'm sure a lot of you guys would go do that. But like the practicality of it was more aspirational, right? Like that's just not something someone can access on a daily or regular basis.
Yep.
Rucking is inherently done outside, so it's inherently wild.
Yep.
And it's accessible on a daily basis, like whether you're in your neighborhood, in Colorado, in Rocky Mountain National Park, whatever it is. I just think that as the foundation for Wild Gym that gets me really excited.
Yeah.
I could feel myself like, you know.
Dude, I'm getting excited about this because, I mean, 2 weeks ago, if you asked me about it, I would be like, you know, yeah, maybe I go hiking anyway, sort of thing. But I'm excited about this. I'm going to definitely, because you can, Kickstarter's still going on, right?
It'll be from today, which is February 22nd. We're going until April 22nd. So there's like 58 days left.
April 22nd. Okay.
Yeah. So
very good.
time.
Links are down below, folks. If you're hearing this before April 22nd, go down, check out the Kickstarter, and support it for sure. And I think you're just going to find that this is going to be much more popular, because I know there's a lot of other companies out there that are kind of pushing this, and I think there's going to be a tipping point before too long where people you're going to see it all over the place. It'll be like a fashion piece. I mean, you'll go to Hollywood, and on the red carpet, you know, people will be in their dresses and tuxedos, but they'll also have their ruck packs on. It's like, I'm rucking to the premiere, you know. Right. But it's so accessible, and that's one of the things I love about the idea that I was missing beforehand, because I was thinking, it's just hiking, just go hiking.
Right.
But hiking's not always that accessible. Because, funny story, I used to sell exercise equipment in a shop, treadmills, ellipticals, that sort of thing. And we had this big bay window in the top of the shop. We were on like the 5th floor, and it looked over the Green Mountains in Vermont. Beautiful view and stuff. And my boss got mad at me because sometimes people would ask me, well, what do you do for workout? I'm like, I just go out there. You know, I don't do any of this stuff, you know. And she'd be like, Matt, you can't, no, don't. But the customer was always right. And they're like, yeah, but am I going to do that? Like, that's 45 minutes away, plus going up and down. We've got mud. We've got all that other stuff to handle. And, yeah, if I'm honest, like, yeah, I could go hiking. How many times have I been hiking over the past year? Once.
Sure.
So there's always that idea of, I could do this. Yeah, but if you're not, it's still not practical. But that, I mean, I walk around my neighborhood all the time.
Yeah.
So I just put that by the door, grab it on my way out. It'd be that simple. So I'm very intrigued and excited about it for sure.
Yeah, and I think you'll notice, again, the difference between like hiking or backpacking versus when you're intentionally rucking, the core stabilization as well. Like, you don't, if you're using, whether kind of regardless of the hip load or not, but that load up on your shoulders, you're just going to engage in a totally different way. So just that full body kind of loading, again, that axial loading, shoulders down, you're getting your vertebrae loaded, your spine, which that's actually part of the Kickstarter. So do you remember like in middle school, like there was a scare for kids like sagging
scoliosis, yeah.
from sagging their backpacks?
Exactly.
That's like totally, it's like a total, like urban legend. Like it's totally untrue. I think maybe obviously
I had a little bit of that going on, actually. I actually had last year I went to get some adjustments from a chiropractor because I was like, something's going on with my back. And he actually identified it as some other issues and stuff.
Okay.
But one of the things he noticed was my right shoulder is chronically elevated and protracted like this. And I was like, that's weird. I'm not like doing this all day. And then one day I just threw on a backpack and did that. And I was like, oh. And it's like, I did that for 4 years in high school, and I just never
Totally.
did anything to correct it.
Right.
You know, so having it was okay as long as I corrected it, but I never corrected
Right.
it. So it did have a little bit of an effect on me,
Sure.
and I'm correcting it now.
Yeah, well, that's I think to clarify what I was saying is that sagging of the backpack that was like cool. That's what was messing everyone up.
Yeah.
But like the load, I think that it was the improper loading versus the load, if that makes sense.
Right.
You know what I mean?
It's kind of like lifting with bad technique.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. You were carrying your. I could totally picture like the big Jinko jeans. And
Yeah.
The backpack. Like that was the thing. Carrying load properly. Totally awesome.
Yeah, it's a game changer. It's the whole idea of deadlifts will ruin your back. Not
Right.
when you know what you're doing.
Right.
No, and this is more along the lines of proper loading in the back, on your body, comfort to be uncomfortable.
Exactly.
I love it. I love it. Fantastic. So, yeah, the link is down below, folks. What can they do to get in touch with you if they have questions or find out more information?
Yeah, reach out anytime. You guys are awesome. Matt's awesome. I love the Red Delta Project community. So I'm my personal is I'm at Wild Dan Vinson. We're at Wild Gym Co. on Instagram. Feel free to shoot us a note, info@wildgym.com. If you guys have questions, always happy to help. So appreciate it.
Wonderful, Dan. Thank you so much for coming
Thank
on
you, my man.
for another episode.
Yeah.
Best of luck with the Kickstarter, and I'll see you out there on the trail.
Rock on.
All right, folks, thanks very much for listening. Once again, as always, be fit and live free.